Have you ever wondered why some people just don't trust anyone? Already had that feeling of being before someone cold, distant with a penetrating look, as if analyzing you all the time? And yet, did you want, somehow, that this person trust you? Perhaps because, deep down, confidence is the first step for any real emotional connection. And without confidence, there is no true attraction, there is no powerful seduction, and there is definitely no relationship that lasts. Now imagine the following. There is a secret technique used by FBI agents, infiltrated and hostage negotiation specialists capable of making even dangerous psychopaths lower the guard. Yes, you heard right. A technique that acts on the subconscious, which crosses all emotional defenses, which disarms even the most manipulative. And the best, you will learn to use this to your advantage in any kind of relationship. If you've tried to win over someone who seemed unreachable, or have seen yourself trying to create a connection with someone who just didn't open, this video is for you. What you are about to find out may be the missing key to create an intense and real connection with anyone. And yes, this goes for that woman who seems unattainable, for that emotionally blocked partner, or even for someone who has been too injured to trust again. I'm talking about an almost prohibited technique, something few people know how to apply in everyday life, but that changes everything when you dominate. In the world of attraction, it is not enough to be interesting. You need to be magnetic. You need to generate that feeling of, I don't know why, but I trust you. This is what makes someone open. This is what arouses desire. This is what builds the basis of a powerful relationship. And no, this is not about looking, status, or ready-made sentences. It has to do with emotional reading, presence, knowing exactly how to act to make the other feel that you are before someone reliable, safe, and irresistibly engaging. And if even psychopaths, people known for their emotional coldness, their resistance to effective bonds, and their manipulation ability to open with this technique, imagine what it can do in their love relationships. But to understand this, we need to dive into their minds first. Because understanding why they don't trust anyone, it's the first step for you to learn how to make anyone trust you. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you now. But before we dive into this cold and calculating mind, I want to make you an invitation. If you've been through any time when you felt that no one understood you, I was trying to connect, but it seemed that there was always an invisible barrier between you and the other person. Comment here now. I want to change it. Because this space here is not just a video, it is a movement. We will break this cycle of superficial relationships, frustrated attempts, and non-lasting connections. Let us understand how to create real relationships based on trust, magnetism, and presence. But it starts with a decision, yours. So comment here now, because I will read and answer the comments of those who are really committed to this transformation. And if this content is already opening your mind, imagine what ahead. So already leave your like. It shows that you want more videos like this, and subscribe to the channel now, because here we go far beyond shallow tips. We get into the real psychological game. Activate Tinino 2, because in the next videos, I will reveal you even more advanced strategies on how to make anyone feel deeply connected to you, forcing nothing, without needy, and the best, being authentic. And now, yes, let's get into the minds of those who resist the most connection, psychopaths, and understand why this forbidden technique works even in the most extreme cases. And now, yes, let's get into the minds of those who resist the connection most, psychopaths, and understand why this forbidden technique works even in the most extreme cases. There is an almost invisible but extremely powerful ability that, when applied the right way, can make anyone feel that you are reliable, even without knowing you deeply. This technique is called emotional mirroring, and it combines with something even more subtle, reading facial micro-expressions. Now, don't confuse with robotic gestures or imitate someone like an actor. True emotional mirroring happens in the subconscious, and that's exactly why it's so effective, because it doesn't look like a strategy. It looks natural. It looks like genuine connection. And that is exactly what the brain interprets as a sign of safety. In high-risk environments, such as negotiations with equestrators or interrogations with dangerous criminals, this technique is used to create instant rapport, even with people who have traces of psychopathy, that is, low empathy, emotional resistance, and an internal radar that detects any attempt to manipulate. So think to me, if it works with people like that, imagine the power of it in the context of a relationship. Imagine a date where, instead of trying to impress with words, you simply know how to feel the other person's emotional rhythm, how to modulate your tone of voice, your speech time, even your breath, creating a tune that she herself will not be able to explain, but will feel. Do you know when you are talking to someone and feel that the person understands you without saying much, that she accompanies you in the look, time, breaks, expressions? This is no chance. This is emotional domain. It is knowing how to generate deep connection without having to force intimacy. It is knowing how to listen with the body. It is the kind of presence that leaves anyone intrigued and attracted. In practice, it works more or less like this. When she is talking about something that touches her, something emotional, you don't try to change the subject or try to solve or advise. You observe. You realize how her eyes move, how breathing changes, how tone softens or becomes more intense. And then, instead of responding with empty words, you adjust your own tone, lightly signs your head, changes the rhythm of your speech, and shows, with small reactions, that you are with her at that moment. This is called active emotional presence, and it's magnetic. Now comes the secret within the secret, the controlled vulnerability. Show small parts of yours that touch some true emotion, but without looking fragile or needy. It can be a short story, something that marked you, a memory that still moves you. This activates a deep trigger, emotional reciprocity. Realizing that you have allowed yourself to open yourself a little, her subconscious understands that she is authorized to do the same. And that's where magic happens, because at this moment you are no longer just two people exchanging words, and they are two minds connected to a more intimate layer. It's not about impressing, it is about disarming defenses. Because deep down, everyone is afraid to open. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to feel that the other understands, not logical, but with presence. And that is what makes this technique so powerful, so rare, and at the same time so accessible for those who know how to use it. Even if you've lived at a time when you felt it, that silent, almost magical connection that you can't explain, comments down here, I already felt it. Or if you want to learn to apply this to your meetings, your dialogues, your relationships, comments, I want to master this technique. I'm reading everything, and if this content is making sense to you, enjoy now and leave the like. It shows me that you want more content like that. Subscribe to the channel if it is not yet subscribed and active Tininho, because in the next videos we will get even deeper into this universe of emotional attraction and relational domain. And now, pay attention, because in what comes next you will find out how to apply all this even more strategically. And now, pay attention, because in what comes next you will find out how to apply all this even more strategically. What I will show you now is what transforms this technique into something real, palpable, and especially replicable. You don't have to be born with a social gift or have an unusual lip to be magnetic. The truth is that when you understand how the human mind works, you learn to activate trust almost automatically. The first step is to master subtle mirroring. This is not about copying movements, as some people teach superficially. It's about capturing the other person's energy and adjusting your delivery so that the subconscious of her realizes, we are at the same frequency. Imagine that you are in a date. It crosses your arms smoothly. You don't copy it exactly, but adjust your body more introspectively as well. Does it decrease the tone of voice? You naturally follow. This sends a silent message that you understand her rhythm. And when someone feels that you understand her rhythm, the sense of confidence grows exponentially. Her brain begins to perceive you as a familiar. And familiarity within the psychology of attraction is one of the strongest triggers of emotional connection. Now let's talk about the second point, the strategic use of silence. Silence, when well used, is not empty. He is presence. While most people try to fill every space of the conversation with unnecessary words, those who understand the game of emotional seduction know that often the impact is what is not said. When you really listen, with full attention now, when you allow the other to talk without interrupting, without correcting, without trying to show something, you activate her empathy system. Because at that moment, you are not just listening, you are feeling together. And that, for those who live in a noisy world, are extremely rare and powerful. And here comes the third element, the controlled vulnerability. This is the golden key to make someone lower the guard. But beware, vulnerability is not outburst. It's not telling your trauma to someone at the first date. It is opening small emotional windows that show that you are human, real, and are not playing a character. An example? Talk about a childhood memory that marked you. Mention a light fear that you surpassed. Tell us something that taught you how to value who you are today. When you do this subtly and confidently, you create space for the other to open yourself. And her brain understands, with him, I can relax. Now think to me, if even a psychopath, with all your emotional resistance, is impacted by this combination of mirroring, silence, and vulnerability, imagine what this can do for you in your relationships. Be it in a first date, trying to create real connection. Be it in a conversation with someone you want to regain. Or even at that moment when everything seems distant and you need to emotionally reconnect someone you love. This technique is not about manipulating. It is about knowing how to access the most human, the desire to feel seen, heard, and understood. Even I want to make you a challenge now. Comments down here the phrase, I want to be a presence. If you understand the strength of this technique and are ready to apply it with emotional intelligence. And if you have already experienced a situation in which you felt a deep connection, even without saying much, also comments, I already felt this connection. I read all the comments, I answer many of them, and use what you share to bring even more powerful content to this channel. And of course, if this video is delivering you real value, already leaves your like now, it strengthens this content a lot. You subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, and activate the bell, because in the next videos, I will teach you even more advanced ways to create emotional attraction, deep respect, and a presence that no one can ignore. And next minute, I will show you a blind point that most men don't even imagine, that they are sabotaging their connections.